Today we're discussing the latest on Arch Manning after several visits this past month. We have a leading contender for his services, and we'll go into the details of those recent visits. We also have a leaked image from this past football season from one of our very own Chase Chat subscribers that gives us a hint, along with all this other new information we have, on where Arch will commit. But first, ESPN recently compared Arch to Kenny Pickett, a potential favorite to be the first quarterback off the board in this year's NFL draft. Here's what they said. Most of this comparison is due to the impressive underrated speed both Manning and Pickett possess. The 6'3", 204-pound Manning is by far the best athlete of his family, and while he might look like a prototypical pocket passer, his ability to extend plays and make off-platform throws is one of his greatest assets. This is an area that Pickett revealed this past fall. Plain and simple, Manning can run, and a lot better than he gets credit for. Now let's get down to the recent visits. Arch and his high school teammate Will Randall took in a 4-day trip at Texas in late March. Here's what Newman head coach Nelson Stewart told 24/7 Sports. Arch said he really enjoyed time with Sam Ehlinger and Colt McCoy. I asked him about Quinn Ewers and he said Quinn looked great. He loved it, he loved being in it, loved the room. Sounds like something special is building there. He loved the organization of practice, he loved the install, and he really liked watching AJ Milwee and Steve Sarkisian work. So, I've seen some people criticizing the decision to bring in Ehlinger and McCoy during Arch's visit. On the one hand, both made it to the NFL, which would obviously be any high school recruit's dream, but when your uncles are already Peyton and Eli Manning and your grandfather Archie Manning, it really isn't doing much for you there. I personally don't even think they were there to impress Arch in any sort of fashion, but more there just for him to ask about their experience with the culture at Texas, which, especially in Ehlinger's case, being the more recent QB, is a useful piece of info to gain. Stewart also said Randall loved Texas tight ends coach Jeff Banks, and you want to know who else was there that weekend? 4-star receiver Jonte Cook, who told 24/7 Sports to not be surprised if he and Arch come in a package to wherever they commit. Currently, Texas is the favorite to land Cook, and Cook himself called Sarkisian an offensive genius. Which, if you've been watching my Arch Manning videos before, then you know Arch's high school head coach, Stewart, said the same exact thing about Sarkisian. So the puzzle pieces for a Texas commitment are slowly and continually coming together. Listen to what Texas commit Kelvin Banks told Rivals. He said he talked to Arch during the visit, and it looked like Arch was already one of the Texas guys. He said he had a pretty good feeling about him, so I guess it shouldn't shock us to see Banks blocking for Arch in a couple of years. Former Rivals National Recruiting Director Mike Farrell, also known as the Godfather of Recruiting, believes Arch will end up at Texas, with Alabama coming in second on his list. And if you're interested in another Texas puzzle piece, then we'll take it on over to Pro Photos LA, who sent me a picture of Arch in November of last year with his go-to sneaker choice after a game being none other than some burnt orange Longhorn shoes. Now, even though Texas has more signs pointing in that direction, Alabama is actually at the top of On3's prediction board, although they are just 4% higher than Texas. Still, that's a sign that Arch's visit last weekend at Alabama went well. After all, it was being hyped as the pivotal point in his recruitment, and what happened over those couple of days would cause Alabama to either double down on Arch or go with Plan B at quarterback, with 4-star recruit Eli Holstein. According to 24/7 Sports, the visit went really well. Arch spent time with the coaching staff, and they feel like they're still in strong contention. Arch will also return to Bama again sometime down the line, which is obviously a very good sign for Bama, but this trip was also shorter than the Texas one because Arch was attending the Final Four last weekend. Funny enough, if you read some Alabama fan message boards, there are some who don't even want Arch because they know they'll be sitting pretty either way and would rather not deal with the hoopla that would come with a 5-star Manning on the sidelines. I haven't seen anything like that with other fan bases, but I'm sure the majority of Alabama fans would welcome a commitment from such a talented player, no matter the last name. Also, Arch was in Athens last month. According to one On3 analyst, they've heard the buzz around Alabama and Texas, and they do believe it to be legitimate, but they also believe that Arch isn't putting visits in just for the sake of doing it. From what they're hearing, Georgia believes they are certainly in on this recruitment. Another Georgia insider said he'd be surprised if Arch doesn't end up in Athens at this point, based on conversations he's had with people he trusts. So clearly those in the Georgia program, coaches, and recruiting staff are giving off the vibe that they're the favorite to these reporters. We know all of Arch's visits there have gone extremely well, but so have all of the Texas and Ole Miss visits, and of course you can't count out Alabama and Nick Saban. It is worth noting though that the Vegas odds have Georgia as an ever so slight favorite over Texas, with Alabama 3rd and Ole Miss 4th. Everything else was pretty much a long shot as you'd expect. Nelson Stewart said Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss will potentially be getting visits planned in the coming weeks. Now your reaction to that could be, wait, Ole Miss is suddenly getting lumped in with LSU and Florida, where he's never even visited? But it's a good reminder that Arch has already visited the Ole Miss campus several times and went to the Sugar Bowl to watch them play again. Also, we already knew Matt Corral had a relationship with Arch, but he recently told NFL Network that having the entire Manning family in his corner is a blessing. Obviously, Corral has also spoken very highly of Lane Kiffin, and you can bet those same things were being said in private with the Manning family and Arch. So it seems like Ole Miss is in 4th, but I still wouldn't count them out. I think Arch remains very interested in playing for Kiffin and the team where he pretty much grew up rooting for. On the LSU front, Stewart told The Athletic that Brian Kelly has done a really good job of reintroducing LSU to Arch. Florida sounds like it's sitting in 6th, but Billy Napier is at least making a good impression. As I've said before, I don't think NIL money is much of a factor here, with the family taking an old school approach and already having plenty of money. So that's all we've got for today. As always, let me know where you think Arch will end up, and be sure to subscribe for more updates just like this.
Here I am with Arch Manning. He's fixing to let us know where he decided to go to school. Arch, what does it look like in 2 years?
I think I've decided I'm 100% going to Mississippi State.
That's what I
Arch Manning is coming to Ole Miss. Right?
Right. How you taught it?
Yeah!